Hey Divas, I'm CIARA Brooke and you're watching my YouTube channel.
Where's my phone? I just had it. Will you turn it on silent?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it's on silent.
Oh, you make sure all of ours are on silent too. Do you want it?
Is that yours up there?
Huh?
No, I don't need it. I just was making sure it was on silent.
Okay.
Take two?
Yeah, we can start from the beginning if you want.
Take two. Okay. So, and we have water.
Yeah.
In case you need it. And I've got to make sure the diva is all taken care of all the time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good for the voice.
Good for the voice. Nice. Yeah, you don't want to get it too dry.
Yeah.
When you decided to start doing this album, like even just the, you're kind of just always going. Your mind's always going. You're always working. Like you're a go-getter all the time, 100%. So like when, was it after you released your EP that this was already in your mind, or was it actually after you got the songs together?
Well, I knew I wanted to do another album. A better one.
Each is a stepping stone. It's not that the last one was bad. It's not. That's not that at all. It was. There were songs on that were just. I mean, there's people's favorite like wedding songs that they want. Like it's.
Yeah.
Like, those are good songs. It's just everything's building.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to do something else. But it wasn't until the fall of last year, 2017, when I decided what the idea and the theme was going to be behind this album. All of the songs were written pretty consecutively in the same amount of time.
What was the first, though?
The first was Dystopian, and that was like late summer when I wrote that. And then the rest, except for Messy Parts and Diva Diaries, were written at school in a songwriting class, and I kind of just felt like the vibe of all of them was very similar, and so I came up with the idea of Diva Diaries before I'd even written the song. It was more of an album title before it was actually a song title or anything. So I didn't know right off the bat what I wanted it to be, but the songs that I had written in that time frame just kind of led to that idea.
Okay.
And that theme.
So, since you said you wrote them in songwriting class, what, if there was any difference, but do you remember getting any more positive feedback about one song than another from your professor or maybe peers that got to listen to it?
Yeah. So, my instructor for songwriting and demo building, he really, really liked Bother Me. And he'd heard Bother Me and Finer Things, Messy Parts, and High School. But Bother Me was the one he always went back to.
Okay.
So
that's
I definitely, I definitely got a lot of good feedback on that one.
Okay.
And so probably going to promote that one as the single.
I can see it.
When the album comes out. It's the most like straightforward top 40 type pop song.
I can see that. Yeah.
So
dance remix.
Yeah. Yes.
Dance remix. Shout out to anybody doing dance remixes.
But yeah, so.
Okay, so on when you got them all put together and everything, does the order that they were written in any way coincide with how they were put on the album? Or was that kind of, once you really got them all together and listened to them, was that kind of a decision that...
I didn't have an order until they were all written and finished. Mostly. I didn't exactly know the order until we got to California to record. But by then I had an idea of the order and the flow I wanted. I wanted to start with Diva Diaries because it asks, come and see, that's the last line.
Yeah.
And then Messy Parts, I feel like there wasn't really anything that could follow it. It felt like it would disrupt like the mood that Messy Parts sets.
Yeah, I see that.
And then from just straight through, there's like a stylistic change too. Like the more in the box poppy sound to a little more of a rock feel and
dystopian
live instruments in high school, live instruments, electric guitar, like real drums, and then Messy Parts, the ballad, and so it's kind of like it shows you kind of the different sides of my style too. I like to do lots of different things.
Very true.
I feel like each song sounds completely different than the one before it, but they're all like me. So.
And you've got this whole very big persona in Diva Diaries with it, and then you strip it so raw for Messy Parts. That's just such a contrast. Like, it would make sense that they were polarized on the album, and I think that creates a lot of draw with them too. So you just mentioned California, because that's where you went and did all your studio time.
Yes.
How was that? And like, maybe throw in like some couple funny details that wouldn't necessarily, like the road trip maybe.
So we drove there.
Long drive. Long drive.
Me and my mom and my brother Brody. So the three of us, it's like, what, 24 hours or so?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's a while.
But we were gone for 2 weeks. We were gone for 14 days, and by the end of it, I mean, Brody was ready to kill all of us. But it was good because I'm really glad he came, because we had him redo. Well, yeah,
he does a lot of your instrumental stuff for music.
Drums for Dystopian and High School, but we actually did a live kit at Fast Tracks, which is where we recorded. And so he was actually able to record live drums there. And I think you can tell, I mean, the drums on High School are like my favorite part of that song. Okay.
We'll make sure everybody listens for that.
And he had such a great time, and Brody is an amazingly talented drummer. He got it done in 2 takes. So
that's awesome.
So I'm really glad he came. We were there for 5 days. Yeah. And we pretty much tackled a song every day.
Which you completed an album in 5 days. Like,
about 4.5 days, yeah.
That's unheard of, let alone the fact that some of your biggest songs on the album were they were a take, and then with some minor tweaks on minor parts. So it's just kind of unheard of. So it just shows that you're kind of like, get it attitude and stuff. So that needs to be acknowledged, for sure.
Well, I did a lot of the production beforehand, so I built the tracks in Ableton, and I did do all of the background vocals at home in my home studio, except for Diva Diaries. We did all the vocals for that because it was the last song I wrote. I finished writing it like a month before we left for LA. I was still working on it and finishing it out and everything.
So that's another thing. A lot of the people, I don't feel like, realize that you produce your own stuff, the majority of it.
Yeah.
And you going to California was moving up to a skill level that you just aren't at, because these are people that have been doing it
forever.
And and it wasn't that, like, the fact that you are doing your own vocals and that kind of stuff is, with the production, is what is just mind-blowing, and I think people need to realize too, is that this album was put together and then you went to just really get it honed in with people who are experts in that. And so it's just, it's awesome that you round out the whole artist, especially in this day and age with everything. Like, that's kind of where we're going. So, was there a moment when, oh my gosh, what is that? Is it Reagan? Will you let her in the back door? Oh no, that way. Yeah. So,
that's okay.
Was there a moment in the studio when you we're gonna just edit these out?
Yeah. No, this is fine.
Get some water.
Some water. Makes for some good bloopers.
Okay. So, little break there.
Yeah.
A little edit, give a little moment for some spacers. So, we were talking about the studio in California and your time there. So, was there ever a moment in the studio when you put yourself in the place of an artist that you kind of look up to, or an artist that you're like, you know, I really like the way they're doing things? Did you kind of lose yourself in that moment and like put yourself in their shoes, or were you just kind of losing yourself in what you were doing yourself?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I was just trying to be as me as I could possibly be.
Right.
But
with the music. Yeah,
I will say that something I really like that Taylor Swift does with a lot of her vocals is she's so expressive. And it feels like she's just talking to you and telling you a story. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not necessarily worrying about sounding pretty. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, sometimes she gets, like, really sassy or really, like, in your face with her lyrics and stuff. And so I wanted that a little bit on High School. Because it's just kind of, I mean, it's an angst song. Like, I just have angst and all this stuff. And so I wanted to have that in there. So it's like the lyrics, I'm, like, just kind of hitting them hard. Not so much like with my voice, like vocally, but like the expression behind them.
Yeah, like the attitude kind of that goes with it.
But I will say same thing with Finer Things, like just using that like expression.
This is floating.
And then with Diva Diaries, I took a lot of stylistic inspiration from Ariana Grande on Diva Diaries. Even the track and the production. It's kind of similar to some of her earlier stuff. Because I wanted that kind of doo-woppy feel on it. That really girly, like innocent and sweet feel on the song. And then vocally, we layered a lot of vocals on that song. And that's something she does that I really love. And so I definitely went for that with Diva Diaries. Then Bother Me too, like... Okay. Bother Me, I wanted that very, like, up-in-your-face whisper type voice that Selena Gomez does sometimes. Yeah. And so each song did kind of come from some inspiration from other artists that I love and look up to. And
you wouldn't be able to, like, craft yourself without finding the qualities in another person.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Brendan Urie has said before, like, find what you like in other artists and then make your music with the best qualities that you like.
Yeah.
And that's the deal. And but like in the studio, like when, not necessarily stylistically, but was there a moment when you were kind of like, oh, is this what it's like? When you were thinking of maybe an artist, were you kind of like had your headphones on in the studio and maybe your eyes closed, like waiting on a lyric to start or something, and you were just kind of like, is this what they're doing, like, right now somewhere?
I didn't want to leave. I mean, I wish we would have had more time, because there's so much more we could have done with the songs. There's so much more, like, I could have done vocally, and, like, that's what I want to do forever. Like, I just want to do this for a living.
You as an artist, you know that it will never be perfect.
No.
Because it's yours.
It won't.
You're always going to be crafting on it. So, and I think anyone listening can appreciate the detail and just the fact that there's you spent time on it, not in California and then in California again. Like, the detail is there. You've spent the time on it.
Yeah.
So I would say that wanting to keep working on it is just you as the artist wanting to perfect your art. So on another little
Fuzzy Fuzz.
Take 4. So, okay, so once you got everything pulled together in California pretty much, and it was time to go home, what was the ride back like? Just thinking back on what you had done. Were you still going over the music in your head? Were you kind of like thinking about the future of like what your next step needed to be once that whole project was done with them? Because they were mastering when you left. Like, it wasn't like isn't that?
Yeah, they were still mixing it. They were finishing up the mixing of it, Brent and Mike.
Okay. Shout out, Brent and Mike.
At Fast Tracks. So I left before it was completely finished mixing, but I definitely trusted them with it because they caught my vision for it and they loved the songs as much as I did, so I felt fine leaving it with them. Honestly, I was just exhausted on the way back, like, and I was just kind of, we were in the studio for at least 10 hours every day, except for that last day, and so I'd been working a lot that week, and so I was just really tired.
And intensely. It wasn't even just the time commitment. You're a 100%, you're a 110 kind of person. Oh, Lord.
So, oh, God, it's okay, anyway, I was just exhausted and just content. I was really content. I was happy with what we did.
Yeah.
And when we left, I could tell it was already a million times better than it was when we had arrived. So, I was just excited, but ready to rest.
Okay.
And just kind of, I was just content. Really.
And that's, when you were talking just now about the, you already saw a difference, or heard a difference at one point.
Yeah.
Saw, but you, I got to experience Dystopian Daydream back when you were still in school.
Yeah.
And so I got to hear that in the stages that you had taken it through. And then now getting to hear it after a mastered version has come out. It's just amazing to get to hear the different stages. And I think people that have been to your shows and have been to ACM events, or that have gotten to hear that song, I guess is what I should say, they're gonna get to hear the changes. And it's better isn't the word, because it's such an amazing song in general. It's the evolution of it, of how it's been crafted, and it's just kind of your hand in it, like changing things with the, like the things you have. So
Brent did a lot with Dystopian too. I mean, I wanted it to sound huge.
And it does.
And it does.
It does.
He did a really good job with it.
It takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
The mixing is what I really don't have a great ear for. I'm still working on that. But Brent is really good at it. And so that's what made all the difference.
It sounds amazing. So maybe you'll be going back to see that.
Yes. Thanks for watching my newest YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed it. And please check back weekly because I will be releasing new videos every week. And before you go, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the red button below.